The crystal chandelier above the Beaumont family table shattered the silence like a gunshot when Magnolia's wine glass hit the floor. Red liquid pooling like blood across the white linen. "Evelyn didn't do anything wrong," she roared, her voice slicing through the gasps of New York's elite. "And neither did I. I'm gay. And if you can't handle that, then burn the will yourself." In that frozen heartbeat, her father's face twisted from paternal pride to volcanic rage. His fork clattering as he shoved back from the table. The fortune they'd built on oil and old money evaporating in the air like smoke from his unlit cigar. Magnolia Beaumont had always known the Beaumont legacy was a gilded cage. But tonight, at the annual gala in the grand ballroom of the Plaza Hotel, it clamped shut for good. The room, a whirlwind of black ties and diamond necklaces, hummed with the low buzz of Manhattan's 1%ers, hedge fund kings, gallery owners, and socialites who'd flown in from the Hamptons just to toast the Beaumont's latest merger. 35. Magnolia was the picture of Southern grace transplanted to the city, tall and willowy, with raven hair swept into a chignon that screamed old money, and green eyes that could charm a boardroom or cut like glass. She'd spent her life playing the part, Harvard law dropout turned family foundation director, the dutiful daughter who smoothed her father Harlan's rough edges, and her mother Celeste's hypochondriac whims. But beneath it all, she buried her truth deeper than the family vaults in Texas. Her sister Evelyn was the crack in the facade. 28. Evie was the wild one, the artist who traded cotillions for paint-splattered lofts in Brooklyn, her blonde waves and blue eyes a softer echo of their mother's faded debutante glow. Evie had always been the fragile bird in the nest, fluttering against the bars Magnolia reinforced with every lie she told herself. Tonight, Evie sat beside her, pale as the pearls around her neck, her simple white sheath dress a stark contrast to the sequins glittering around them. The whispers had started weeks ago, rumors of Evie's indiscretions, with a female curator at MoMA, leaked by some jealous rival in the art world. Harlan, ever the patriarch, had turned it into a crisis, threatened to cut Evie off, ship her to a rehab in Switzerland disguised as a conversion camp, unless she fixed herself publicly. Magnolia couldn't let it happen. Not to Evie, who'd once shielded her from their father's belt at 12, taking the blame for a broken vase. Not when Magnolia's own secret burned hotter than any family scandal. For 3 years, she'd loved Alex Rivera in stolen moments, late-night walks along the Hudson, tangled sheets in Alex's Alphabet City apartment, whispers of forever that tasted like freedom. Alex, 32, was everything the Beaumonts despised, a queer Latina activist from the Bronx, with cropped dark hair, tattooed arms that spoke of protests and poetry slams, and brown eyes that saw through Magnolia's armor like it was tissue paper. They'd met at a fundraiser for queer youth, where Alex's keynote on intersectional feminism had left Magnolia breathless, her checkbook forgotten in her clutch. But love was a luxury Magnolia couldn't afford until now. As the string quartet struck up Moon River, Harlan rose for his toast, his silver hair impeccable, his voice booming like thunder over the oil fields. "To family," he intoned, glass raised, the unbreakable bond that builds empires. The room clinked in unison, but Magnolia's hand trembled on her stemware. Evie squeezed her thigh under the table. A silent plea, "Don't let him do this." Harlan's eyes locked on Evie then, cold as the diamonds on Celeste's fingers. "And to corrections," he added, his smile a razor. "That keep us on the straight path." The table fell silent. Whispers rippled outward like a stone in the reservoir. Evie's face crumpled, and in that instant, Magnolia saw their childhood flash. Evie at 16. Drunk on stolen champagne. Confessing her crush on the riding instructor's daughter. Magnolia at 20. Kissing a sorority sister in the stacks of the Yale Library. Heart pounding with terror and thrill. "No," Magnolia said. Her voice steady as she stood. Chair scraping like nails on chalkboard. The room hushed. She turned to Evie. Cupping her sister's face, soft, tear-damp cheeks that mirrored her own hidden fears. "You don't get to break her, Daddy. Not for this. Not for who she loves." Harlan's glass paused midair. Celeste gasped, her hand fluttering to her throat like a dying bird. Then it poured out. The words she'd rehearsed in mirrors but never dared voice. "Evelyn's brave enough to live her truth. And so am I. I'm a lesbian. I've been hiding it for you. For this." She swept an arm at the opulence. "The crystal. The legacy. But no more. If loving women makes me a disgrace, then disown me. Cut me out of the will tonight. But touch Evie, and you'll see what a Beaumont scorned can do." The explosion was immediate. Harlan's face purpled, veins bulging like rivers on a map. "You ungrateful," he sputtered, slamming his fist down. Silverware jumping. Celeste swooned dramatically into her seat, murmuring about heart attacks and scandals. The gala's elite leaned in, phones discreetly angling for the shot that would headline page 6 by dawn. And there, across the room, Alex, who'd come as Magnolia's +1 consultant for the foundation, met her gaze. Pride flickered in those brown eyes, mingled with the sharp sting of "I told you this would hurt." Harlan didn't hesitate. He yanked the family ledger from his inner pocket, a leather-bound relic listing assets, trust, the Beaumont billions, and tore it in half, pages fluttering like confetti from hell. "You're dead to us," he growled, voice low enough for the table alone. "Both of you. The fortune, gone. The houses, the trust, the jet poof. Sign the papers in the morning, or I'll bury you in court." Evie sobbed, clutching Magnolia's hand. But Magnolia held her chin high, the wine stain on her gown a badge now. She pulled Evie from the table, weaving through stares that burned like spotlights. Alex fell in step beside them, her arm brushing Magnolia's, a lifeline in the storm. Outside, the November chill bit through their finery as paparazzi flashes erupted like fireworks. "You okay?" Alex murmured, voice rough with unshed tears. Magnolia laughed, a brittle sound. "I just blew up my life for her. For us." She glanced back at the plaza's glowing facade, the empire crumbling behind stained glass. Evie leaned into her, whispering, "I love you, Mag. You're my hero." But as they piled into a cab destination Alex's cramped walk-up, a world away from penthouses, Magnolia's phone buzzed with the first lawsuit notice. The fortune was gone, but in its place, a reckoning. And maybe, just maybe, a chance to build something real from the ashes. The fallout hit like a nor'easter the next morning. Gray skies dumping sleet over the city as Magnolia stared at the eviction notice taped to her Upper East Side brownstone door. Harlan moved fast, lawyers on speed dial, trusts revoked by dawn. The doorman, who'd tipped his hat to her for a decade, averted his eyes as she hauled a single duffel bag down the stoop. Inside, a few designer dresses she'd grabbed in the night, her mother's pearl earrings, a final fuck you keepsake, and the worn copy of Audre Lorde's Sister Outsider Alex had given her. Evie had crashed at a friend's in Brooklyn, promising to meet later. But the silence from her phone felt like abandonment already. Alex's apartment was a fourth-floor walk-up in the East Village. The kind of place where roaches hosted rent parties and the radiator clanged like a bad jazz solo. But it was home, posters of Frida Kahlo and Marcia P. Johnson taped crookedly. A kitchenette cluttered with takeout menus and dog-eared zines on queer theory. Alex brewed coffee strong enough to strip paint, handing Magnolia a mug with a chipped rim. To new beginnings, she toasted. Her smile crooked. The tattoo on her forearm, a rainbow fist, peeking from her flannel sleeve. Magnolia sank onto the sagging couch, the weight of it all crashing down. I thought coming out would feel liberating. Not like drowning. Her voice cracked, green eyes welling. Alex knelt before her, thumbs brushing tears from her cheeks, gentle, like handling fine china. Though Magnolia felt more like shattered porcelain now. You saved your sister, Alex said. Fierce. That's more than most ever do. The money, it's paper. This, she tapped Magnolia's chest. Over her heart. That's the fortune. They kissed then. Slow and deep. Alex's hands tangling in Magnolia's hair, releasing the chignon in a cascade of black waves. It was messy, desperate, the kind of love that tasted like rain and rebellion. They tumbled to the rug, shedding layers, silk against denim, old world against new, until the world narrowed to breaths and sighs, Alex's mouth tracing promises on Magnolia's skin. But ecstasy faded to the grind. By week 2, the tabloids had feasted. Beaumont heiress outs herself in epic meltdown billionaire bloodbath. Harlan's PR machine spun it as a tragic lapse, painting Magnolia as the villain who dragged sweet Evie down. Celeste called once, from a retreat in Sedona, her voice slurry with Xanax. Your father's heartbroken. Darling. Come home. Get help. This phase will pass. Magnolia hung up. Nausea rising. Evie showed up sporadically. Her artist loft now a sanctuary funded by freelance gigs. I'm painting again, she'd say. Eyes bright. Showing sketches of 2 women entwined in thorns. Thorns that looked suspiciously like dollar signs. But guilt shadowed her. You lost everything for me, Mag. I should have fought harder. Magnolia waved it off. But the rift grew. Evie started dating a curly-haired sculptor named Lena. All tattoos and easy laughs, while Magnolia drowned in job hunts. Law firms ghosted her. Foundations cited optics. She tempeed as a barista in a queer coffee shop, steaming lattes for activists who eyed her designer coat like an exotic pet. Alex was her anchor, pulling double shifts at the community center to cover rent. Her evenings spent plotting with Magnolia over cheap Malbuck. We're suing, Alex declared one night. Maps of legal aid sprawled across the bed. Harlan can't just erase you, undue influence. Emotional duress. I've got a contact at Lambda Legal. Her passion ignited something in Magnolia. A fire she'd long banked. They made love with purpose then. Bodies aligned like warriors. Alex's whispers in Spanish. Mi amor. You're unbreakable. A bomb against the isolation. Yet cracks formed. Alex's world was rallies and readings. Fists raised against the system. Magnolia's was boardrooms and brunch. Even if those were ghosts now. At a poetry slam in the Bowery, Alex performed a piece about stolen glances in corporate towers, glancing at Magnolia with heat that made her flush. But afterward, over falafel, Alex's friends grilled her. So, Xeris, what's your angle? Slumming it for the story. Laughter. Edged with truth. Magnolia forced a smile. But the barb lodged deep. The betrayal came softly, insidious as fog off the East River. It started with a letter, Harlan's olive branch, delivered by courier to Alex's door. Return alone, it read. Confess it was a publicity stunt for Evie's art, and the trusts reinstate. Evie stays out, clean slate. Temptation nod. Magnolia could rebuild. Send Evie to school. Spare Alex the strain of her baggage. She burned the letter in the sink. But the ash lingered. Evie found out somehow, overheard at a gallery opening. Or maybe Lena's loose lips. She confronted Magnolia in a Soho cafe. Rain lashing the windows like accusations. You're considering it? After everything. Evie's blue eyes, so like their mother's, hardened. You think I can't handle the fallout? That I'm still the little sister you have to save. It's not that, Magnolia pleaded, reaching across the sticky table. I love you too much to watch you suffer. Evie pulled back, hurt blooming like ink in water. Love? This is control. Mag. You've always played the martyr so I don't have to. But guess what? I can fight my own battles now. She stood, leaving a half-eaten scone and a chasm. That night, Evie texted, going to Lena's for a while. Need space. Don't follow. The void echoed. Magnolia wandered the streets, collar up against the drizzle, past brownstones that mocked her fall. She ended up at the pier, staring at the black water churning under Brooklyn Bridge lights. Alex found her there, hours later, wrapped in a wool coat that smelled of patchouli and home. Talk to me, Alex urged, pulling her close, the city a distant hum. I lost her, Magnolia whispered, sobs racking her frame. The one pure thing I had left. Alex held her, rocking gently. You didn't lose her. You set her free. And me? I'm not going anywhere. But even as she said it, doubt flickered. Alex's phone buzzing with texts from exes, invitations to events Magnolia couldn't afford, lives diverging like subway lines. Winter deepened, snow blanketing the village in hush. Magnolia landed a gig, ghostwriting for a queer memoirist. Words flowing freer now, unyoked from Beaumont polish. Alex organized a march for trans rights, Magnolia marching beside her. Sign high, love wins, even in the cold. For stolen hours, it felt like victory, nights tangled in sheets, mornings with eggs over easy, dreams of a brownstone of their own, adoption papers and garden plots. But Harlan struck again, venomous as ever. Private investigators dug up dirt, photos of Magnolia and Alex at underground clubs, Evie's association with undesirables. A settlement offer arrived, laced with poison, full fortune reinstatement if Magnolia signed an NDA, disavowed her lifestyle, and testified against Evie's influence. Evie called then. Voice breaking. He's offering me the same. Says you'll ruin me if I don't take it. Rage boiled over. Magnolia stormed the Beaumont Tower that afternoon, security parting like the Red Sea before her fury. Harlan's office was a fortress of mahogany and malice, floor-to-ceiling windows framing the skyline he'd conquered. He sat behind his desk, cigar lit now, smoke curling like a noose. You win, Magnolia said. Not sitting. Keep the money. But touch Evie again, blackmail, bribe, any of it, and I'll go public. Every skeleton, the offshore accounts, the donations to those hate groups you fund under the table. I know. Daddy. I always knew. Harlan's laugh was gravel. Bluffing with what? Your little dyke girlfriend's blog. Try me. She slid a USB across the desk, years of pilfered emails. Proof of his hypocrisies. This ends now. We're done. He lunged. But she was out the door. Heels clicking like gunfire. In the elevator. Descent mirroring her soul's freefall. Her phone lit. Alex. Frantic. Evie's in trouble. Meet at the loft. The cab ride blurred, sleet-slick streets. Horns blaring biblical. Alex's building loomed. Fire trucks wailing distant. Heart in throat. Magnolia bolted stairs 2 at a time. Bursting into chaos. Smoke billowed from the kitchenette. Flames licking cabinets where takeout boxes had ignited, faulty wiring. The super later said. But Magnolia smelled sabotage. Harlan's reach long as his grudges. Alex dragged her back as firefighters swarmed. Evie's here. She came to apologize, left a note. But Evie was gone. Vanished in the panic. Her coat and sketchbook abandoned by the door. Panic clawed Magnolia's chest. No. No. They searched through the night. Calling hospitals. Shelters. Lena's frantic voicemail looping. Dawn broke gray. Finding them on a bench in Washington Square. Hands clasped. Exhaustion etching lines. She'll come back, Alex murmured. But her voice wavered. Brown eyes shadowed. Then. The call. Evie's number. But Lena's voice. Accident. Hit and run on the bridge. She's critical. Mount Sinai. The hospital was a sterile hell. Beeps and bleach assaulting senses. Evie lay tubed and bandaged. Blonde hair matted. Blue eyes fluttering open to find Magnolia's tear-streaked face. Mag. Sorry. I was running. From him. From us. Shua, Magnolia soothed. Stroking her hand. Alex a solid presence at her shoulder. You're safe. We're all safe. Doctors murmured odds, concussion. Internal bleeding. A long road. Harlan arrived then. Coat askew. Celeste trailing like a ghost. He stopped short. Face crumpling, not rage. But something raw. Defeat. I did this, he rasped. Collapsing into a chair. My God. What have I done? The room held breath. Magnolia rose. Steel in her spine. You built walls. Daddy. High ones. To keep us in line. But love? It breaks through. She glanced at Alex. At Evie stirring weakly. We're tearing them down. Join us. Or stay on your side. He stayed silent. But when nurses wheeled Evie to surgery, he followed unbidden. Uninvited. But there. Celeste wept quietly. Clutching rosaries she'd long abandoned. Weeks blurred. Vigils at Evie's bedside. Alex's community rallying with meals and legal funds. Magnolia's ghostwriting gig expanding to a column in Out magazine. Inheritance of the heart. Evie pulled through. Scars mapping her body like new art. Lena at her side with quiet strength. The hit and run? Traced to a Beaumont driver. Paid off, Harlan confessed in a deposition. Trading testimony for leniency. His empire fracturing under SEC probes. Magnolia anonymously tipped. Betrayal's sting faded. Not to forgiveness, but understanding. Harlan visited once. Post-surgery. Bearing not checks but a letter. I was afraid of losing you both to a world I didn't build. But legacies aren't fortunes, they're choices. He left the revised will on the table. Equal shares. No strings. But only if they chose to claim it. Magnolia burned it that night. Ashes joining the sink's ghosts. We build our own, she told Alex. Evie nodding from her wheelchair. The four of them, sisters, lovers, survivors, linked in the flickering lamplight. Spring came tentative. Cherry blossoms dusting the village like confetti from a saner party. Magnolia and Alex walked the pier at dusk. Rings glinting, simple bands. Exchanged in a backyard ceremony with Evie officiating. Lena filming through tears. Married in the margins, Alex joked. But her eyes shone serious. Forever. Though, Magnolia leaned in. Tasting salt and promise. We lost a fortune, she said. But gained this. The city sprawled before them. No longer enemy but canvas, flawed. Fear. Theirs. Evie texted then. Gallery show tonight. Come see. Painted us, all thorns. All blooms. They went. The loft alive with queer artists and allies. Evie's canvas dominating 3 women. Intertwined roots cracking stone. Colors vivid as healing wounds. In the crowd. Harlan lingered at the edges. Anonymous in a cashmere coat. Celeste on his arm, spectators. Not saviors. He met Magnolia's gaze across the room. Nodding once. A truce etched in lines of regret. She nodded back. Turning to Alex. To Evie. To the life they'd forged from fire. It wasn't perfect, no penthouses. No jets, but it was human, messy loves. Hard-won truth. A fortune measured in heartbeats. And in America's endless reinvention. That was enough. The cab lurched through midtown traffic. Horns blaring like accusations. As Magnolia pressed her forehead to the cool glass. Watching the plaza's lights recede. Evie curled against her side. Small and shuddering. While Alex sat opposite. Knees bumping hers in the cramped back seat. A reminder that some collisions were chosen. That was insane, Alex said. Her Bronx accent thickening with adrenaline. Hand reaching to squeeze Magnolia's knee. Brave as hell. Mag. But. You sure you're ready for the shitstorm? Magnolia met her eyes. The green locking with brown. A spark in the dim. Ready? No. But free? Got. Yes. The word hung. Tasting like the wine she'd spilled, bitter. Bold. Evie stirred. Murmuring. What now? He meant it. Didn't he? The will. He always means it, Magnolia replied. Voice steady for her sister's sake. But we'll figure it. Together. The cab dropped them at Alex's stoop. The building's buzzer, a relic from the 70s. Sticky with graffiti. 4 flights. The door creaked open to warmth. Mismatched mugs steaming on the counter. A quilt from Alex's abuela draped over the couch. It smelled of cumin and canvas. Worlds away from the plaza's orchids and caviar. They crashed in a heap, Evie on the air mattress. Out cold from shock, Alex and Magnolia tangled on the bed. Shedding gowns and suits like snakeskins. My hero, Alex whispered. Lips brushing Magnolia's collarbone. Hands mapping curves she'd memorized in secret. Magnolia arched into her. The night's terror transmuting to hunger. Body speaking what words couldn't. I see you. I choose you. Dawn crept in slivers through blackout curtains. Finding them spent. Limbs entwined. The city waking to headlines they'd soon star in. By noon. The vultures circled. Magnolia's inbox overflowed. Reporters from Vanity Fair to TMZ. Old sorority sisters with passive-aggressive prayers. Harlan's attorney demanding a 9 a.m. signature on disinheritance papers. She ignored them. Frying eggs in Alex's cast-iron skillet. The sizzle a small rebellion. Evie woke to the aroma. Padding in barefoot. Her white dress rumpled like a ghost. Smells like normal, she said. Tentative smile breaking through. Normal's underrated, Alex quipped. Sliding plates over. They ate cross-legged on the floor. Knees touching. Stories spilling. Evie's first crush on a camp counselor. Alex's coming out at 15 to a family that toasted with tears and tamales. Magnolia's buried memory of a Wellesley roommate whose touch lingered like smoke. Laughter bubbled. Fragile but real. Stitching the night's wounds. But reality knocked by evening. Evie's landlord calling. Eviction looming without Beaumont backing. Magnolia's Amex declined at the bodega for coffee. Plastic's persona non grata now, she joked. But her laugh rang hollow. Alex pulled strings. Crashing a Lambda legal mixer that night in a Chelsea loft. Air thick with craft beer and commiseration. Queer lawyers in Oxford's clapped Magnolia on the back. Harlan Beaumont? Classic toxic patriarch. We've got precedents, file for emotional coercion. Reclaim half. Hope flickered. But so did envy. Alex's circle was a tapestry of survivors, trans baristas funding surgeries through tips. By activists penning manifestos, while Magnolia felt like an interloper. Her stories of galas and galas met with polite nods masking check your privilege. One woman, a sharp-tongued poet with a buzz cut, cornered her by the punch bowl. So, you torch your trust fund for cis? Noble. But what's next? Philanthropy from the poorhouse. The barb landed. Magnolia's cheeks burning as she excused herself to the fire escape. City lights blurring through tears. Alex found her there. Slipping arms around her waist from behind. Hey, warrior. Ignore the noise, they're just scared of their own shit. She turned Magnolia gently, kissing salt from her lashes. You're here. That's the win. They stayed like that, breath sinking with the distant wail of sirens, until Evie texted at Lena's. Thanks for tonight. Love you both. Back inside. The party raged on, drag queens lip-syncing Nina Simone. Fists pumping to anthems of resilience. Magnolia danced then, letting Alex spin her under string lights, hips swaying to beats that drowned out. It was the first night she slept without the phantom weight of the Beaumont name. Waking to Alex's coffee and a scribbled note, meeting at center. Love your fire. The fire, though, needed fuel. Job hunts consume days. Resumes tailored for nonprofits. Cover letters laced with passionate advocate spin. Rejections piled like snowdrifts. Unfortunately. Your recent publicity. Magnolia tempeed at a Soho cafe. Steaming oat milk lattes for influencers who snap selfies with their pets. Never recognizing the ex-heiress in the apron. Venti matcha. Extra foam. Sheet call. Pocketing tips that barely covered MetroCards. Each coin a reminder of fallen empires. Alex thrived in the trenches. Her community center gig expanding to workshops on queer history. Magnolia volunteering when shifts allowed. Facilitating panels on family rejection. Her voice gaining gravel from truth. One evening, as she shared her gala story to a circle of wide-eyed teens, a girl with braces and a hijab raised her hand. Did it hurt? Losing it all. Magnolia paused. Throat tight. Like hell. But staying silent? That would have killed me slower. Applause rippled. And afterward, Alex pulled her into the supply closet, literally. Shelves of crayons and condoms pressing close, for a kiss that tasted like validation. "You're killing it," Alex breathed, hands sliding under Magnolia's shirt. Proud as fuck, they made love against the door. Quick and quiet, the risk heightening every gasp, every graze of teeth. Yet intimacy bred vulnerability, and vulnerability shadows. Alex's ex, Riley, a non-binary photographer with a Tumblr following and a grudge, slid into Magnolia's DMs one night. "Heard you're playing house." Careful, Alex burns hot. But she always runs when it gets real. Magnolia deleted it. But the seed sprouted. Late nights when Alex scrolled feeds, liking posts from old flames. Mornings she'd wake to empty sheets. Alex at dawn runs that stretched hours. Ivy, too, drifted on tides of her own. Her fling with Lena deepened. Late-night texts lighting up the apartment. Gallery crawls Magnolia heard secondhand. "She's amazing," Evie gushed over video call one weekend. From a sun-dappled bed in Red Hook. "But guilt. You know? I feel like I'm thriving while you're scraping by." Magnolia brushed it off, Ramen builds character. But the screen between them felt wider than the river. The first real fracture came at Christmas. A makeshift affair in the apartment. Dollar store tree twinkling with mismatched ornaments. Takeout tamales from Alex's cousin. Evie arrived with Lena, arms laden with thrift store gifts. Her laughter filling the space like light. But as they exchanged stories, Evie's latest sale, Lena's exhibit, Harlan's name surfaced. A ghost at the feast. "He called me," Evie admitted, poking at her enchilada. "Wants to talk. Says he misses us." Magnolia's fork stilled. "Don't. It's a trap. But what if it's not? What if he's changing?" Evie's eyes pleaded. Blue and hopeful. Alex snorted. Wine glass midway. "Men like him don't change, they rebrand." Tension crackled. Lena shifting uncomfortably. Magnolia forced calm. "Ev, you know his playbook. Strings attached." Evie bristled. "Maybe you're the one with strings." Mag, holding on to grudges so tight you can't see mercy. The table fell silent. Tamales cooling. Lena cleared her throat, suggesting dessert. But the damage lingered. Evie leaving early with a stiff hug. Alone. Magnolia paced. Alex watching from the couch. "She's testing boundaries," Alex said. "Normal sister shit. Normal." Magnolia whirled. "I lost everything for her. And now she's an adult," Alex cut in. Gentle but firm. "You can't protect her from life. Or from forgiving him." The word stung. Truth wrapped in care. They argued then, not yelling, but probing. Exposing nerves. Magnolia's fear of abandonment. Alex's scars from lovers who'd bailed when poverty loomed. It ended in bed. Apologies murmured against skin. But the echo remained. January brought blizzards and breakthroughs. Magnolia's column launched. From Fortune to Frontlines. Raw essays on queer inheritance. Going viral in niche circles. Offers trickled. A podcast guest spot. A TEDx invite. Evie texted congrats. Lace with proud of you. Miss our brunches. Reconciliation brewed. Tentative coffees in neutral cafes. Where they'd laugh over old photos. Thorns blunted but present. Alex, meanwhile, landed a grant for the center, expanding to family mediation workshops. "We could use your story," she told Magnolia over Victory Foe. Help others navigate the Harlan's. Pride swelled. But so did pressure. Alex's hours stretched. Dinners cold. Intimacy rationed to weekends. One night, post-rally, Alex stumbled in reeking of smoke and sweat, collapsing without a word. Magnolia waited, words curdling. Am I enough? Or am I just the pretty tragedy in your revolution? Alex's eyes snapped open, hurt flashing. Jesus, Mag. You're my everything. But this, she gestured at the world, it's not a fairy tale. It's work. The fight spilled. Accusations of emotional labor. Defenses of survival. You think I don't carry you? Alex shot back. Every shift. Every grant, it's for us. For the life you're too scared to claim without Daddy's shadow. Magnolia recoiled. Scared? I blew it all up. And you're still waiting for applause. Alex softened. Reaching. Baby. We're good. But we gotta build. Not just burn. They bridged with tears and touch. But the fault line widened. Subtle as subway rumbles. February's thaw mirrored their thaw. Evie inviting them to her first joint show with Lena. A queer erotica series that packed the gallery. Harlan's absence loomed. But his check arrived anonymously. $50,000. No note. Evie tore it up. Magnolia pocketed hers for rent. Guilt gnawing. Use it, Alex urged. Not forgiveness, just fuel. The show was electric. Canvases of bodies unbound. Colors screaming desire. Evie pulled Magnolia aside amid the crowd. I talked to him. Not taking anything. But hearing him out. He's in therapy. Mag. For real. Shock rippled. And you. Forgiving. Maybe. For me. Evie's hand on hers. Sisterly. Sure. You taught me that. Tears pricked as they hugged. The rift mending in murmurs. Later. Dancing with Alex to a DJ spinning Billie Holiday remixes. Magnolia felt it, roots deepening. Not in soil but concrete. But spring's promise carried thorns. Riley resurfaced. Accidentally at a center event. Eyes lingering on Alex too long. Magnolia saw the texts later. Miss our fire. She's sweet. But. Alex deleted the thread. Swearing it meant nothing. But trust frayed like hem jeans. Then. The letter from Harlan. Hand-delivered. Come home. Trust's intact. Leave the activist charade. Temptation whispered security for Evie. Ease for Alex. Magnolia confided in no one. The paper burning a hole in her pocket. Evie's accident shattered the illusion. The call came mid-argument. Alex accusing her of distance. Magnolia denying the letter's pull. Lena's voice. Hysterical. Hit and run. She's asking for you. Mount Sinai's ICU hummed with mechanical mercy. Monitors beeping like hesitant heartbeats as Magnolia burst through the doors. Alex panting behind her from the sprint across town. Nurses parted like waves. Directing them to bed 12. Evie. Swaddled in white. Face bruised purple under the fluorescent glare. For lines snaking like accusations. Lena huddled in the corner. Dreads disheveled. Eyes red-rimmed. They say. Possible coma, she choked. Driver fled. Cops think it was targeted. The words landed like shrapnel. Magnolia collapsed into the visitor chair. Grasping Evie's limp hand, cold. Too cold. Nails chipped from paint. Evie. Baby. Wake up. Please. Memories flooded. Piggyback rides in the Hamptons. Whispered secrets under covers during thunderstorms. The gala's defiant squeeze. Alex knelt beside her, arm around shoulders, murmuring Spanish prayers her abuela taught. Virgin de Guadalupe. Protegila. Hours stretched eternal. Doctors came and went. Charts scribbled with Latin no one translated. Harlan arrived at midnight. Coat unbuttoned. Face ashen as the halls. He stopped in the doorway. Celeste fluttering behind like a moth to flame. What happened? He demanded. Voice cracking, not command, but plea. Hit and run, Alex snapped, rising like a shield. On the Brooklyn Bridge. After your driver tailed her from the gallery, the accusation hung. Venomous. Harlan paled, sinking into a plastic seat. I sent him to talk. Protection. I thought. After the photos leaked, threats from rivals. Got. No. Celeste whimpered, clutching her purse like a life raft. Magnolia's head snapped up, green eyes blazing. Protection? Or control? You leak the scandals, then play savior. Harlan met her gaze. Defeated. I was scared of losing the name. But this, he gestured at Evie. Tubes and tapes. This is on me. The confession cracked something, rage yielding to grief. Alex paced, fists clenched. But Magnolia waved her down. Sit. All of you. For her. They did. A fragile circle around the bed. Enemies turned kin by calamity. Stories spilled in the witching hour. Harlan's own buried youth. A college fling with a stable boy cut short by daddy's belt. Celeste's silent endurance. Pills dulling the edges. Even Alex shared. Halting, her brother's deportation. The family fractured across borders. Dawn filtered through blinds, gilding Evie's lashes as she stirred. A groan escaping. Mag. Blue eyes fluttered open. Foggy but alive. Relief crashed. Tears mingling on cheeks as sisters clung. The car came out of nowhere. Thought of you. Of the thorns. You're blooming. Kid. Magnolia whispered, kissing her forehead. Nurses bustled. Vitals stabilizing. Talk turning to recovery, PT. Therapy. Time. Harlan lingered, offering not money but presence. I'll handle the cops. Full confession. Whatever it takes. Evie nodded weakly. Start with sorry. Real one. He did. Voice rough. I failed you both. Chasing ghosts of what I thought family meant. Forgive me? Not for me, for us. It wasn't absolution. But a seed. Planted in sterile soil. Discharge came slow. Weeks of rehab where Magnolia and Alex tag-teamed. Mornings at the center's rec room. Adapted for queer elders but now Evie's watercolor station. Afternoons in physical therapy. Lena's hand steadying her sister's first steps. The hit-and-run probe deepened. Harlan's driver, a Beaumont retainer, confessed to orders. Scare her straight. Make her call home. No intent to kill. But recklessness enough for charges. Harlan testified. Empire teetering as board members bailed. Stocks dipping like his moral compass. Betrayal's layers peeled in quiet moments. One evening. Post-session. Evie cornered Magnolia in the hospital garden. Wheelchairs creaking on gravel. The letter. From Dad. I saw it in your bag that night at the loft. Magnolia froze. Wind rustling budding maples. You were gonna take it? Sacrifice us for the payout. No, God. No. But doubt had whispered then. The fortunes goes seductive. I burned it. But yeah. It tempted. For you. For stability. Evie sighed. Eyes wise beyond bruises. That's the real betrayal. Mag, not dad's. You're to yourself. Thinking money fixes love. The truth gutted. Magnolia wept. Evie pulling her close despite the pain. We're even now. Martyrs Anonymous. Laughter bubbled through tears. Mending what money couldn't. Alex learned later. Over rooftop beers as summer teased the skyline. You didn't tell me? Hurt edged her voice. Brown eyes searching. Magnolia confessed. Raw. Feared you'd see me as the villain. Still the Beaumont. Clawing back. Alex cupped her face. Thumbs tracing jaw. You're my Magnolia, roots and all. But secrets? They rot us. The fight was gentle. Excavation, not explosion. Unpacking fears. Riley's text, a footnote Alex owned. Flirting. Stupid nostalgia. Over before it started. Trust rebuilt. Brick by vulnerable brick. In therapy sessions Alex insisted on queer-led. No frills. Just mirrors to selves. Evie's recovery flowered. Discharged to Lena's Red Hook row house. She painted furiously. Series titled Fortune's Fishers. Bodies breaking chains. Sold out at a Bushwick opening. Harlan attended. Incognito in chinos. Buying the centerpiece anonymously. Returned to her with a note. Yours. Always. No reunion. But thaw. Coffee invites declined politely. Doors cracked for future. Magnolia's column exploded. Book deal whispers from publishers hungry for queer redemption arcs. She and Alex planned a ceremony. Small. In the village. Rooftop vows under fairy lights. Evie officiating in a thrift tux. Lena snapping candids. Do you? Firebrand. Take this southern storm. Evie teased. Rings exchanged, gold bands etched with thorns entwined. I do, they chorused. Kisses sealing amid cheers from mismatched kin. Center kids. Poet friends. Even Celeste. Tearful in the corner. Harlan's absence a merciful void. The humanistic close came autumnal. Leaves carpeting Washington Square as Magnolia walked alone. No. With Alex. Hands linked. Evie's arm looped through Lena's ahead. A park bench beckoned. The same where they despaired that frantic night. 1 year, Alex said. Leaning head on shoulder. From ashes to this. Magnolia smiled. Green eyes on the arch. Eternal. Lost a fortune. Gained 3. Sisters. Lover. Self, riches no ledger tallied. Harlan's final letter arrived that week. The trusts dissolve. To you? Freely. Build better. They donated half to Lambda. The center. Evie's scholarship fund. Keeping the rest for a co-op in Brooklyn. Roots in shared soil. In America's grand, gritty reinvention. They thrived. Not flawless. But forgiven, scarred. But soaring. Love, turned out, was the truest inheritance, wild, unyielding, eternally theirs.